Hey, welcome to the first edition of my new series. It's gonna be called What I Played This Month. Now I want to preface this by saying that this is not my original idea. I've been watching a lot of Carson Runquist lately, who basically just does the same thing for the movies he's watched for that month. And I especially do want to highlight Rasputin as well. He does the same thing for games on his second channel, Raz. Just please check them out, honestly. They make great content. As for me, however, I did want it to make it a goal of mine to just play a lot more games this year than I had previous years. And you know, what better way to keep track of what I played each month than to just make some videos about my experiences and thoughts on them. Hopefully while doing this though, maybe some of these games will catch your interest. Maybe you can go ahead and check them out for yourselves. You never know. I don't know how this is gonna work in the long run, but we'll just see. So I played a couple games this month, and the first one I started off with was FlyKnight. I had a really fun time with this one. The biggest hook for this game is its art style. You can see the inspirations from old school retro games. Like, it looks like straight out of RuneScape. From the blocky textures, to the low bit audio, all the way to the animations of the character models. It's the game's biggest charm for me. Going into the main gameplay loop, it's a first person dungeon crawler with a bit of Souls-like mechanics to it. You can expect to have some stamina and health pot management, as well as finding bonfires throughout the levels for save points and to reset enemies. Throughout your journey, you'll be picking up lots of different types of items. From the weapons you get to choose from, they range from swords to hammers to spears. Some of them will require one or two hands to use, and each weapon has a different attack type to it. There's slash, crush, and pierce, which will deal different damage based on the enemy you're fighting against. You'll also pick up a bow and arrow, just so you can have some ranged attacks. There's also some weapons you can swing in different directions, all based on your directional inputs. This works into the enemy's limb-based mechanics. You can target specific limbs against enemies. Try going for their legs to slow their movements, or maybe cut off one of their arms to disable a weapon they're using. You can even cut off their heads, but sometimes they'll live. It helps change the way you fight against different types of enemies. More items you'll find are some spells that each have a different type of effect, different armor sets to choose from for different defense stats, ring accessories that will give passive buffs to you, or some shields to help block and reduce some damage. If you're able to time it well enough, you can shield bash your enemies to parry them. This will stun lock them for a second to where you can just kick them and knock them down, or you can just wail on them for a few seconds. There's also fishing in the game. There's a couple of ponds throughout your journey you can go to, and the fish you catch are able to provide you with temporary buffs, but I didn't really interact much with this part of the game. You can play the game solo, or you can play the game with co-op, with up to 4 friends. If you do play co-op, however, just keep in mind that there is friendly fire. I've had my fair share of getting kicked off cliffs, so just be careful with that. It's a pretty fast game to get through though. It only took me like around 3 hours to finish, but it was nice and short. So if you have a couple friends, couple hours to spend some time on, just play this, just check it out. The next game I ended up playing this month was Children of the Sun. I actually heard about this one in passing while viewing Scar's stream one day, where he was just trying to go through some new games on Steam, and this was one of the games he ended up looking at. It piqued my interest because of the visual style and some of the small amounts of gameplay I saw, so I finally decided to check it out for myself. And I'm really glad I did, because this one's a real hidden gem that I don't see a lot of people talk about. Now, there's not much of a real story to this, but just trying to break this down real quick, you're a girl with telekinetic powers just getting revenge on a cult. That's all I have to really say about the story. It's mostly just a backdrop for the bullet time puzzle shooting gameplay. Now, for anyone who remembers Sniper Elite, in those games, whenever you got a really cool kill, it would always slow down the camera and sort of follow the bullet through, traveling like a bullet time event. Just imagine that, but the whole game. And they kind of build around that with a puzzle on how to chain kill enemies throughout the level with just one bullet. Trying to chain kill enemies with just one bullet is where your powers come in, as whenever you hit a target, you're able to redirect the bullet from that initial point and shoot again. And it's not just that power alone that you have, you get more abilities as you progress throughout the game. One example is just being able to slow down time and maneuver your bullet just a little bit if you missed your target initially. And maybe sometimes you can accelerate your bullet to penetrate through armored enemies. There's some more abilities that you get that I don't want to spoil, so just planning your route in conjunction with these abilities is where I had the most fun with the game. Enemies are spread out throughout each of the levels, so just coming up with a solution on how to kill everyone without missing your shot is all up to you. There's no one solution, there's multiple ways to go about it. For the controls, you don't need a keyboard at all for this. You use your mouse basically for everything. Dragging your mouse left or right lets you maneuver around the level to get a better position so you can shoot. Right clicking is to aim, left click is to shoot, and of course scrolling allows you to zoom. And you're able to mark enemies around the map with the middle mouse button in order to keep track of where everyone is. And it's not just enemies you can shoot, there are other objects around the level that you're able to redirect your bullet off of, such as like birds in the sky, or maybe even a fuel tank of a car that can cause an explosion to kill multiple enemies. You can factor these into your travel path. The game doesn't overstay its welcome either. It took me around 4 hours to complete the entire game, with there being 26 levels with a couple of them only being there for story purposes. There's a scoring system for each of the levels that take into account how fast you've completed each of the levels and your creativity in doing so. I didn't really go for high scores, but I did try to keep up combos for each of my kills, just something to look forward to. Each of the missions also do have challenges for you to do with a given hint on how to do them. It just adds a nice little side objective to look out for, taking me a little bit of time to figure out how to do some of those, as some of the hints can be pretty vague sometimes. And after you complete the game, you do unlock a horde mode. It's kind of like an endless run, basically, just having enemies spawning and seeing how high of a score you can keep up, but I didn't really put too much time into that. And other than that, I had a great time with this one. If it sounds up your alley, definitely do check it out. The next game I ended up playing was called Party Hard. Now this one's a little bit of a nostalgia trip for me, as I remember watching Jacksepticeye play this years ago when it first came out. I ended up seeing this pop up on my Steam page during one of its sales, so I just had to take a look and see how it's still held up today. Now the general gist of the game is that you're awoken by your neighbors at 3 AM by a house party that they're having. So, being the level-headed citizen that you are, you decide to put a stop to them by killing everyone there. And yes, it does sound kind of morbid, but it kind of leans more into the goofiness side of things of being a mass murderer and a slasher. Now, as described, you'll be put into different parties and your goal is to basically kill everyone there without dying or getting caught by the police in the process. Now there's many ways to go about killing people. The first way is just your old-fashioned knife stab. Or you can use the different assortments of traps conveniently laid throughout the stage that range from pushing someone off a building to turning on a parked car to run over a group of people. These will help eliminate people within a short amount of time, but do be careful though, as some of these traps are able to kill you if you're too close when it activates, so just kind of plan out whenever you set them off. If people discover any of the bodies, they'll either run away in fear or try to run to the nearest phone to call an ambulance or police. And if you're caught in the act of killing or near a body, if someone walks by, then the cops will try to arrest you. Now there are ways to evade the cops, as they won't chase you long if you just try and outspace them. Some maps have like quick travel points that will take you from one spot of the stage to another, so you can use that to your advantage or just as a fast travel point. Though if you use them too frequently, there's this red plumber that comes back and forth that'll block them off, so just use them sparingly. There are also items you can collect that'll help with escaping or just for other uses, maybe some spare clothes to get some cops off you, a stun bomb that knocks out everyone in its vicinity, poison to kill some unsuspecting targets. Like, it'll vary from stage to stage. Also, each stage kind of mixes everything up, like the different types of traps you'll see each time you restart, so some things won't be the same if you keep replaying the same stages. Now I did have fun playing through the first couple of stages, but as you progress more and more through the game, it kind of just gets repetitive and you kind of just do the same thing over and over again. And there's like 12 stages, so like by stage 4 I was already feeling it. By the time I reached stage 6, I kind of just stopped playing. And it's not the game's fault, honestly, it's just there's not a lot to change up the gameplay other than just maybe figuring out how fast to kill everyone within the stage or just trying your best not to get caught. Yeah, I don't really see myself coming back to complete the game, but for what it was, I did have a good time with it. It just felt like one of those old Flash games you played back in the day that you played for an hour and then kind of just got done with it. So it kind of does overstay its welcome a lot. So I had my fun with the game, but it did show its age. So if you're kind of looking for something like this, go ahead and give it a shot, but if not, you're not really missing out on much. For my last game this month, I ended up playing Inscryption, and this is one of those games where it's just best if you go in blind. Before heading into this game, all I knew about it was just the genre of the game, and that it is just best if you play it without any knowledge about it. And you know what? People were right. It's gonna be hard for me to talk about it because I don't want to spoil too much to where it might ruin the experience for you, because I for sure think that you should just play this without knowing anything about it. I'll try my best to explain some of the gameplay that's present throughout the game and just the initial setup for the game. You initially wake up in a dimly lit cabin, and just seated across from you is this mysterious shadowy figure. All he does is explain the rules to his card game and ask you to play with him. You have no memory of how you got there, why you're there, who this guy is. All he does is just ask you to play his game, and there's nothing else you can do. You can't even leave his cabin. So in order to progress and learn everything about yourself, you have to play this game. Now explaining the meat of the gameplay, it sets itself up as a roguelike deck building game with some escape room puzzles on the side. You face against a mysterious figure using a deck of creature cards. The whole thematic around this gameplay loop is sacrifice. Most of the cards that you have in your hand require a blood sacrifice of some kind. Some cards may only take one sacrifice, others may take 2 or even more sacrifices in order to be played. Your goal in these battles is to deal 5 damage points to your opponent, but keep in mind your opponent plays dirty, so the odds are stacked against you and you have to do your best to figure out which types of cards and order you have to play them in. Each of your cards have different health and attack points, and they also have special passives that help shake up the gameplay a little bit, so do plan accordingly. The way you progress through the game is similar to Slay the Spire. You'll be given a map and will have to choose between different pathways. Each will have a different event or node to go to. There's many different events that you'll come across. You got your normal enemy encounters. There's a node that allows you to choose one of 3 cards to add to your deck. A campfire node that will allow you to upgrade the health or attack of one of the cards in your deck. A sacrificial node that will sacrifice one of your cards to give its passive to another card in your deck. And much more. Now your opponent may play dirty, but you will be given items that will help you just give you a little bit of an edge in the battle. Maybe sacrifice a tooth just to deal 1 point of damage. Play a free card so that you have another sacrifice on your board. Or maybe you sacrifice something much more valuable, just to gain the upper hand and win the battle. Though you may be trapped in the cabin, you are freely allowed to walk around the cabin whenever you're not in a battle. This is where some of the escape room puzzles come in, and figuring out some of them will offer you really good rewards that'll help you in the battles. So take the time to try and solve some of these puzzles. They will help you out, and there are some story implications for some of them as well. Now that's as much as I'll say about the game. I know it's not much, but please do give it a shot. I don't want to spoil much of it for you because it's a really great experience. Heavily recommend this game for anyone who enjoys this type of gameplay or whoever just wants to learn more about it. It's a really great story. And that's about all the games I played this month. I'll see you guys probably next month. Not too sure yet, but thank you guys for watching. See ya.